Lil Durk had a ruling 5 days ago that we had talked about. Really, I think it was 3 days ago we had talked about, but it dropped 5 days ago. If you don't remember, let me get y'all caught up real quick. Roll it. United States District Court for the Central District of California, Plaintiff, United States of America, Plaintiff versus Jaime Hector Ramirez, Defendant, case number 525-CR-264-SSS, United States of America, Plaintiff versus Ishmael Garcia Jr., Defendant, case number 225-CR-655-MEMF, United States of America, Plaintiff versus Ronnie Rojas, Defendant, case number 22CR-573-FWS, order granting in part and denying in parts defendants' motions to dismiss indictments and to disqualify. 4. Conclusion. Simply stated, Essayli unlawfully assumed the role of acting United States Attorney for the Central District of California. He has been unlawfully serving in that capacity since his resignation from the interim role on July 29, 2025. Essayli may not perform the functions and duties of the United States Attorney as acting United States Attorney. He is disqualified from serving in that role. Final court order section. For the reasons stated, however, the court does not dismiss defendants' indictments as they were lawfully signed by other attorneys for the government, and there has been no showing of due process violations or other irregularities in defendants' prosecutions ruling from Essayli's unlawful service as acting United States Attorney. Moreover, Essayli remains the FAUSA and may perform the functions and duties of that office. It is so ordered, dated October 28, 2025. J. Michael Seabright, United States District Judge, seal, United States District Court, District of Hawaii. But y'all understand, this ruling says that Bilal Essayli illegally took on the role of acting United States Attorney for the Central District of California after his authorized interim position ended on July 29, 2025. The court found that once he resigned from that temporary appointment, he no longer held legal authority to serve in that acting capacity. Because of that, the judge officially ruled that Essayli was disqualified from serving as acting United States Attorney and cannot continue performing those specific duties under that title. However, the court also made it clear that the criminal indictments handled under his time and that role will not be thrown out. The judge determined that even though Essayli was unlawfully serving as acting United States Attorney, the indictments were properly signed by other authorized government attorneys. Since there was no evidence of due process violations or any unfair treatment of the defendants, the indictment and prosecution remains valid and active. The court ruled that Essayli can still serve as FAUSA, that's First Assistant United States Attorney, a lower but legitimate position, and he is allowed to continue performing duties that come with that office. In short, the court stripped him of the acting United States Attorney title, but let the ongoing prosecutions stand, avoiding disruption to the criminal cases while still correcting the improper appointment. Ain't that some shit? All of a sudden, we kind of tripped out a little bit because the judge basically said, nah, which they kind of alluded they were going to do due to what happened in Florida. But another judge, the same judge was like, but hold on. Write 7 pages as to why I shouldn't do this. If Drew is worth his salt, bruh, I'm telling you now, he beat this, Durk comes home. Case dropped. Watch this. Case number 2420CR00621 MWF, document 284, filed 11/3/25. Page 101, United States District Court, Central District of California, Criminal Minutes General. So we go through, and this is the effed up part. J. Michael Seabright, United States District Judge. Deputy Clerk, Derek Davis. Court reporter, none present. Look at that. None present for Assistant United States Attorney. USA versus Defendant Dirk Banks. Present not, cust not, bond not. Attorney for defendants, none present. Proceedings in chambers order. On October 6, 2025, Defendant Dirk Banks filed a motion to dismiss the indictment and to disqualify based on the unlawful designation of Bilal Essayli a United States Attorney for the Central District of California, see ECF number 228. On October 7, 2025, the court stayed consideration of that motion pending a decision on similar motions to dismiss and to disqualify in 3 other cases: United States versus Ramirez case, United States versus Garcia case, United States versus Rojas case. On October 28, 2025, the court ruled in a consolidated order on those similar motions to United States versus Ramirez. The court is inclined to rule the same way on defendant Banks' motion and simply refer to the Ramirez order for the court's reasoning. Defendant Banks, however, may file an optional statement limited to 7 pages explaining why the court would not be bound by its ruling in Ramirez. That is, defendant Banks is allowed to explain how his particular case is distinguishable from the ruling in Ramirez, but may not attempt to re-argue the findings or conclusions the court made in Ramirez. Such a statement is due by November 14, 2025. If defendant Banks files a statement, the court will decide whether to request a response from the government. It is so ordered. DMG Chambers. Ain't that crazy, huh?
Hey, yo, you. Can you subscribe and turn on that bell, too? Because when you do, you're helping unbiased, independent news.
Only way that Durk'S case essentially would be different, like what they would have to argue, is they would have to argue the timing. That's pretty much it. What they had to say is that basically his shit was improper because of the timing. Like, Essayli shouldn't even been there, all of that stuff in which they had argued before. So basically he had to have done that and have like a hand in all of this stuff, because anything that's approved or anything under his direct supervision, like under his chain of command, that could actually get his ass out of there. You can argue the procedural way is wrong, all of this stuff, and I guess the factual differences that you're going to see in Ramirez's case, basically that's all going to do to timing. So it kind of sucks because it's not novelty, but it kind of is novelty. So if you look back way in Florida, they had the same thing with Trump, but that judge also was like, nah, we're not going to do that stuff. So basically what they're saying is when Essayli assumed his role and when the indictment was issued or supervised, they got to clarify the timeline. Exactly who signed the indictment, who supervised the prosecutorial decisions, and whether Essayli's role was central or was peripheral, meaning like, was he the one that was right there in the thick of things, or was he just overlooking and just doing the crossing the T's and dotting the I's type of shit? So they had to do that. They had to look at the material impacts and then basically show specifically why this is not the exact same way that Ramirez's case was done. So it is what it is. It kind of sucks, but they can pull it off. They just got to have a way with words. Everything is going to rely and do with timing and his direct involvement. What Ramirez didn't show, they didn't show anything as far as Essayli's handling on anything at all. They just were like, yo, he shouldn't have been the head honcho. You get what I'm saying? But let's get on to it. Now, Mr. $1 billion lawyer, bruh, listen, this is where I ain't gonna hold you. This is Brian Steele's field right here. I ain't gonna say you should, but ain't no amount of money worth your goddamn freedom. I still believe, regardless if this approves or doesn't approve, that Durk'S ain't or is coming home. You know what I'm saying? It definitely, in my opinion, Durk is still gonna beat this case. But this right here, this is where the $1 billion and billions of dollars, yeah, that's where you get your goddamn money from. Because getting stuff booted off of technicality, I don't give a damn who you are. This is what you want. Because after that, you have the kid, the youngin' who got killed in damn Chicago. He's suing. Mama Duck's suing. Lil Tim is suing. Everybody's suing Durk right now for whatever goddamn reason. Is what it is. So when we're looking at this, Durk needs this victory more than ever. Obviously, any victory he can get to where they can kick this shit off would be good. Now, what's going to happen, though, is the question. I don't think he gets it. And I don't think he gets it based off of this. To say that we did the work, and then to say the work isn't good because the head person wasn't supposed to be there, I don't think that that's going to be enough. I think they would have to find it on a different technicality as far as something like fruit of the poisonous tree, where, in my opinion, the judge is basically going to say this. And I'll give y'all the illustration like always. Imagine if you had a principal, but he was an interim principal, and you was messing up in class, badass kid. And next thing you know, your teacher say, I'm going to send you up to the principal. And you go, all right. You sit up here with your teacher and y'all hashing it out in front of the principal. The principal go, you know what? You are 100% wrong for what you did to that kid. And you sitting up there like, damn. All right. Next thing you know, boom, you get kicked out of school. Now that your ass is kicked out of school, your mama or your daddy, whoever, whichever one y'all like, y'all basically go, hey, that principal had no right to do that. And so we sit in the board of superintendents and we basically hear them out. And the superintendents go, yeah, that principal actually didn't have the power to do that. So the question is, and I ask y'all this question, you can answer it any way you want. Do you think because the principal literally got his ass put in that position, he wasn't supposed to be there longer than what he was, do you think that his ruling should be all right or not all right? Because what they're going to say is, hey, the teacher still lived and did everything right. The teacher still did everything right. It's just the principal who decided actually wasn't supposed to be there. Do y'all think that that's enough? I'm just curious. That's the best way I can break it down. I don't know how to break it down any other way but except that way, because at the end of the day, that's what a lawyer is supposed to be, like a parent, OG, a big homie with the law. They take care of all of this stuff for you while you pay them for their time. That's basically what a lawyer is. A hood lawyer, I just give y'all my opinion because I study just a little fraction, but I know how to apply the science. You see what I'm saying? What do y'all think though? Do y'all think that that's enough? Because by what I just said, do you believe that's enough that Durk should have that case thrown out and basically released? Because I think even if he is released, I think California still picks it up and still arrests his ass, but they don't have the resources, but the feds can still give him all the papers that they have. It's just in California, those lyrics and all that shit ain't gonna fly. So that would be a bonus for Lil Durk on behalf of that shit. But y'all, let me know your thoughts on this one. Bruh, it is 12:31, you know what I mean? It's 12:31, but y'all getting this a little bit earlier in the day. I told y'all, I don't sleep. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that feels like, but it is what it is. Subscribe, turn on that bell, stay notified, share to keep your people aware. Click right here and see how they almost, meaning the Julio Fulio murder trial, Alicia Andrew Adams, how she, basically, her lawyers, they were paying attention to that judge and almost wanted that. Well, they did want the judge to boot herself off, but that didn't happen. But click right here, and catch all that action. Crazy shit that we missed. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Or click right here for the playlist.